Compared to some of the space magic-infused weapons in Destiny 2, the Xenophage should be dull, but it's not, because it's thick, it blows stuff up, and I think it has the soul of a Bugman inside it. That last bit I'm not 100% sure about, but I know for certain the Xenophage is a monster, and it's without a doubt one of my favorite exotic heavy weapons. It also received a damage buff at the start of the Season of Dawn, so if you enjoy it as much as I do, you won't be a liability for bringing it into combat. Compared to a lot of other exotic weapons, the Xenophage is very simple because it only has one exotic trait. Pyrotoxin rounds causes the weapon to fire high-powered explosive ammunition. And unlike legendary machine guns, it doesn't have a massive reserve of ammunition. But don't worry, it makes up for not having a lot of quantity by having quality in every shot. It hits very hard. Its secondary trait is Rangefinder, and it functions the same as it does on legendary weapons. Rangefinder increases your weapon's effective range and zoom magnification when you aim down sights. Unfortunately, the Xeno doesn't need Rangefinder because it deals explosive solar damage with no damage falloff, so the increased effective range is unnecessary. I suppose the increase in zoom magnification is nice when you're fighting at longer ranges, but ultimately, Rangefinder feels useless on this weapon. Now let's talk a little bit more about the explosive damage the Xenophage does. It's adding two qualities to the weapon. First, there's a small area of effect to your shots at the point of impact. Though it's not recommended to use large amounts of heavy ammo to clear out red bar enemies, a few well-placed shots will work wonders. Second, it cannot deal precision damage. That sounds like a liability, but the weapon is tuned so that it doesn't need to be precise to get all the bang for its buck. In fact, because the Xenophage doesn't require precision hits to deal its optimal damage, it's incredibly easy to use and consistent in every environment you take it into. Overall, there's not much to say about the Xenophage other than it's a big gun that screams fuck off or I'm gonna blow your face into the next dimension. It hits hard, it has unlimited range, and it's fun to use. It does have a few downsides though. It has a terrible base reload speed, handling, and stability, so it does feel cumbersome. If you're in an activity like the Sundial, you can stretch its 13-round magazine pretty far, but once you empty it, you'll spend a good chunk of time preloading. Bringing something in your loadout to speed up that process will make the weapon feel infinitely better. For Titans, rally barricades are a great choice, and if you want to take things a step further, the Actium War Rig's exotic perk Auto-Loading Link will allow you to completely forego reloading by adding ammo to your magazine from reserves every few seconds. Hunters can use Marksman's Dodge, and Warlocks can use a Rift with Lunafaction Boots exotic. For handling and stability, there's nothing you can do to make the Xenophage feel light and nimble, but honestly, I wouldn't want to. Part of its charm is its overbearing size, and I don't want to take that away. Being charming is one of the best things about exotic weapons, but sometimes weapons take their charm too far and forget to be effective. The Deathbringer is an exotic rocket launcher that hopes to become part of your arsenal through its unique gameplay alone. Its exotic trait, Dark Deliverance, causes it to fire remotely detonated projectiles that spawn void orbs when detonated. Its second trait, Dark Descent, increases the damage of the void orbs the farther they fall. And if that sounds unlike anything you've ever seen before, that's because it is. The Deathbringer is truly beautiful, and trying to find the perfect angle to detonate your projectiles to cause maximum destruction is fun and effective when mastered. A well-placed shot can cover a significantly larger area than a legendary rocket launcher with cluster bombs, and you might even give the Wardcliffe coil a run for its money. But the fun in this weapon gets in the way of its function too much. I like unique exotics. My favorite one in the game is Kepri's Horn, and most people will rightly think I'm crazy for that. But we can sit down and argue its value points, and at the end of our discussion, I'll have you seriously considering walking around with a beautiful, beautiful horn on your head. With the Deathbringer, every point in favor of this masterpiece is a point that's done similarly or better in other exotics and legendaries. So at the end of it all, the question you have to ask yourself is, do I want a weapon that's beautiful and unique, or do I want results? It's a hard question to answer, but I've already made my decision. And there we go, that's going to do it for the exotic review of the Xenophage with a little bit of Deathbringer thrown in for good measure. Both of these guns are really awesome, and the buffs that were made to the Xenophage make it feel like a viable decision to bring it in your loadout in whatever content you're going into. It's very flexible, and its damage output is respectable compared to other weapons that you use for DPS or ad clear or whatever. On the other hand, the Deathbringer is really unique and special, and it's very fun to use, but it's not as effective as it should be. It feels like it needs either some kind of a damage buff, maybe direct impact should deal some more damage so it can function like a normal rocket launcher, but also it can rain void death from above. Whatever the case is, it needs a little bit of something for it to feel like a special, really cool exotic weapon, but also something that I can take seriously in content when I actually want to try to win. So with all of that said, we're going to wrap things up here, but don't worry, there's plenty more coming in the future. As always, if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to support the channel more than you already do just by watching, liking, subscribing, and commenting, you can head over to patreon.com/iBluairJgR to become a patron. As always, the name of the game is Destiny 2, the name of the channel is iBluairJgR. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.